What's up, friends? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Be Less Unfit Performance podcast YouTube show. You're going to notice over the course of these videos that I've changed a lot. I filmed these over the course of 2 years. So as my life changed, you see my body change. 1. 2, I changed the way I was going to use these videos. They were going to only be an add-on to the program. Instead, I wanted everybody to be able to have this great information, and so now they're live. If you have any questions or want to know more about the Be Less Unfit program, please head over to sampogue.com or belessunfit.com to learn more and check it out. In the meantime, please enjoy this amazing show and learn more about our guests by going down to the comment section bio area and click what they have going on. I'm so blessed that they said yes to helping me out, and I want you to go learn from them as well. So enjoy the show, have a great day, and please remember to subscribe. So we're going to just this is going to go in the info product. And so instead of me talking about the shoulder or strength training, I just wanted to make it video driven or audio driven. Have a number of just different experts like you and Mike T. Nelson and talking about different elements of health and wellness. The way the program is structured is that every day they get a daily health goal, like drink 3 extra glasses of water, to eat a vegetable twice in a day, to go on a 5-minute walk, to sit quietly for 5 minutes. And so it's to kind of help people understand just starting something and getting them to understand that we got to start taking steps in the right direction. It may not be that you're going to be fucking deadlifting your max tomorrow, but like going on a walk is huge for someone who's obviously never doing it. And so but I want people to understand what the value of training is. And that's kind of the goal with you is well, yeah, not everybody's going to jump in the gym tomorrow, but like, yes, it is super important. Or there are characteristics from training that we need to get. And I want people to understand that that's why training is important for them. Because I think so many people just get caught up in, I know I'm supposed to do it, but what do I do? Right? Yeah. How do you know what to do in the gym? And why do I do it this way? And how do I attack it? And so how do we make training, the understanding of training, easy for that person to understand? And I had 24 people demo this program. And this is when I was calling it Be Less Fat. And 14 of them were women. And the way, it was so interesting to watch how they digested it, because I asked people to write a blog or a journal before they started. And the majority of people, like I had former trainers, I had former athletes, I had baseball players, athletes' wives, but like everybody had prior training experience. Like they'd been in really good shape before, right? Yeah. Powerlifters and they're like, oh shit, like I'm 33 with a kid now. Like training does not look the same. I can't go jam 45 spin classes in a week and not eat and just do a lot of cocaine. You know what I mean? They have to, you know what I mean? They have to figure out fitness. And like, man, if you have,
we call them the lifelong athlete. It's like you had a physical endeavor that you really enjoy, but shit's different now. But you have to not go back to what you were doing because it's not sustainable. But where do you make the changes? Yeah, we're good with this, man. This is cool. It's a common audience that I usually speak to.
Awesome. All right, you ready?
I'm less shiny in this.
You look good. I think it adds a nice texture. So. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Be Less Week show. We're sitting down here with Dr. John Rusin, all the way in Madison, Wisconsin, and we're excited to talk to you guys about strength training and understanding what the value of training is. And while we both understand that not everybody is going to go be the loud grunter in the gym or try to be the biggest person they could have ever seen walk the face of the earth, we also want people to be encouraged and understand that training is a very valuable thing that we need to learn how to do and find a relationship with for the best longevity and quality of life we can later in life. So I'm really excited to have Dr. John Rusin down here to talk to us and bring it into a lens that everybody can understand, but also understand is there's some technique that goes into this and some knowledge, and he's gonna help open those doors for you. So thank you so much for joining us.
As always, man, it's awesome being able to talk to somebody who just gets it, but also is doing things for the right reason. So this is gonna be fire, man. I can't wait.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into it right off the bat. Everybody, you hear it in magazines, Men's Health, Cosmo, whatever it is, and we should be doing resistance training and strength training. And how is that, like, yeah, you see it. You see people in the gym, they're doing their 10-pound dumbbell overhead presses and they're lifting weights. But you and I both are like, we need more intensity. We need more effort. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to go grunt and lift and find your max, but you do need to put some effort in. Let's talk about why strength training is important and where that message is coming from.
Yeah, well, you said the term resistance training, and I think that could go hand in hand with strength training. But what it really breaks down for my clients, my athletes, my general fitness clientele are how do we get stronger? It's not about being the strongest guy in the room. It's not about being so big you can't walk through doors. That's what people misconstrue what strength training will do for you. But really, what strength training will do is make you a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. And it's an ongoing process that literally is the key that most people are missing when it comes to actually rebuilding a movement system, living a better life, being healthier, and actually extending the quality of life, which is probably the number one factor and the number one advantage of actually going through a strength training regimen or protocol.
Mm-hmm. So when we look at it, you know, where do we start? What should someone look at when they're like, okay, I hear you. I understand that I do need to have resistance training. And we've heard that for years. It's been told to us for years. But where do we start? Where do we even address the problem?
Well, I think it has to happen slowly because we do live in a country where burnout and doing too much too fast is the status quo. So we go from a couch to a marathon in 6 weeks. You know, there's programs for that. The same thing could be said for strength training here. I think that people know that they should be doing something to become a stronger version of themselves, but they go all in on one thing. And whenever you go all in from one day to the next, you know, thinking about like New Year's resolution style of jump-ins, that's not sustainable. It's not smart. And it's actually not going to get you gains any faster. So when we think about trying to adopt in strength training, one of my biggest recommendations is literally just to set aside 3 days a week for 30 to 45 minutes where a key focus of you moving your body has more of a strength emphasis, meaning that you might be doing some resistance training. You might be working with a kettlebell or lifting some weights at the gym or doing cables or bands or whatever it may be. But the key focus of those 3 days is to move well, is to get stronger, and to have a movement practice that over time gets you stronger than you were yesterday.
So now it turns into, okay, we're getting to the idea that yes, okay, we need to start doing it and we're going to set some time aside. How do we know what to do, right? Like guys like you and me, like it just seems like we watch those people, they just go in and do it. They know how much to lift, they know when to lift it, how much time to rest, how often to do it. Like, where do you start learning that knowledge and what should we really focus on first?
Well, I think one of the bigger mistakes that people make is that they try to make things so complicated. They're like, well, I want the best results, so I'm going to do this highly advanced strength training program that's 14 sessions a week, and I have to break it down by every muscle fiber in the biceps in order to hit it optimally, because it's all about theoretical perfection. But let's break it down to the simplest actionable plans on what strength training should be. We have movement patterns that every single human on the face of the earth should do. Squatting, hip hinging, single leg work, pushing and pulling at the upper body, and some sort of locomotion that moves your body through space. If you can hit 4 of those per workout 3 days a week, all of a sudden you're getting 2 exposures to each and every one of these movement patterns that could have all the diversity that you'd possibly want. And just simply doing that creates a well-rounded strength program that is a movement base. Because when you talk about getting stronger, or when you talk about being a stronger version of yourself, moving well is really the construct that forms the foundation of the pyramid. And then the better you move, the stronger you'll get, and the better your longevity will be. So these things go hand in hand. But where we don't want to go down a rabbit hole is trying to get too advanced too quickly. Let's get some key patterns. Let's learn how to move. And then over time, let's challenge it with more weight or more resistance or more metabolic stress or getting tired or getting fatigued and conditioned. It has to be a little bit slower. You know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's what the average person's doing. Let's take 1 step forward and let's recover and take another step forward. Let's do that for months or years at a time, as opposed to the 6-week burnout.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, especially I would say probably maybe former athletes or maybe military, individuals who may have had a history in the gym and have a relationship with the bench press or a squat or a deadlift, and they haven't been in the gym actively in 5, 6, 10 years, and they hear heavy and they want to go do the numbers they used to do when they were hitting the gym 6 days a week, right? And now maybe they're finding that, oh, the body parts don't feel good. And one of your big things is really focusing around being pain-free. And this is where I think a lot of people really need to hear this lesson most of all, because it's going to wrap everything up. Most people are dealing with something, right? The shoulder, the back, the hip, the knee, the something, and there's all these reasons, and pain's a bitch, right? Pain fucks with you in a lot of different ways down the chain, emotionally, physically. If we're in pain and we're not, moving, right? Let's just start there. Where should we start addressing things, and how do we want to start attacking this problem first?
Well, one of the hardest people to deal with in terms of actually trying to program for yourself is the lifelong athlete. So you nailed it. Somebody that was a high school or a college athlete, they used to be super strong. I could bench press 225, 50 times when I was 24. And now you're 44. And all of a sudden you think that is the only way to get back to what you used to be. And this is a process that we go down called reverse engineering. So it's pulling back everything that you're doing wrong, or potentially those roadblocks that you have mentally to what you used to be, and calling it what it is without your ego, and saying, hey, here's where we're currently at, and here's how we rebuild to be the best version of yourself today. And that's hard for many people to do because, again, if you've been off of training for 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades, you always have the memories of what you used to do. And it seems very simple. Like, I can just jump right back into this. And there's a direct correlation between the results that I used to get when I did that and the results that I'm not getting because I'm not doing that. But you may be a totally different human being with different needs. And as people age, as people go through a learned disuse of their movement systems, AKA not training or not moving meaningfully, we have to do a little bit more of that groundwork. It's not the sexiest of things, but it's the stuff that, again, lays the foundation of movement mastery so we can scale out without the repercussions of pain, injuries, burnout, and actually get what we are going after, which is longevity and living a healthier life, living a better life via training. But what a lot of people end up doing is that they go into the magazines or they'll search something online. And the cool thing and the not so cool thing about mainstream media is about 95% of the content out there is really geared towards this theoretical perfect person. This person that gets 12 hours of sleep every night. They don't have a wife, they don't have a husband, they don't have kids, they don't have a job. All they do is literally eat like an animal, and they can be totally stress-free at all times. And then we have these training programs, or the best exercise, the number one thing to do this. And all of a sudden, that's not a fit for a vast majority of the populations. Thinking about something like the best exercise is the barbell back squat by far. Well, that might be a huge mismatch for you, where you might need to squat differently in order to get a pain-free training effect that day. But in terms of being pain-free, I think a lot of people, they have gone through learned disuse. They haven't used their body appropriately for a long period of time. But that doesn't mean that it's a disability for life. It means that we just have to reactivate instead of continuously deactivating the way that we move. But a reactivation process, just getting moving, that's step one. But making sure that we do things that put us on a sustainable success step-by-step program, that's really going to be the key thing there. But address who you are today, not who you were 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 2 decades ago. It's a huge thing because that can really bring things full circle back around to make you sure that you're on the path that you need to be on and not somebody else's path or your past path.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. That's such great knowledge, and for people to understand, and what a great value for us to hear from an expert that has worked with thousands of people and built a system around helping coaches teach this as well. Like, it's not like you're just helping every person. We're now helping coaches around the world around learn this system. So that's awesome to be able to hear it coming from you as if I'm a client, right? Instead of hearing your coaching spiel was a lot of fun as well. With that, I think, something I want to help people understand is how to identify where things may not feel right or maybe feel pain. Like, we can't diagnose someone over the internet on a webinar, but we can help them become aware of, hey, where do I start? Like, this doesn't feel right. Where do I even go, and what should be my next protocol? Because I think a lot of people are fearful of a bad back that they used to have. They hurt deadlifting once upon a time, and maybe they want to get back into it. So how does the everyday person identify, this doesn't feel good? Where do I go from here?
Yeah, the biopsychosocial physical model of pain, it's a real thing. And it is very, very intriguing when you look at people in a return to train scenario. So say you did something today, Sam Pogue, that you've never done in your life physically. Would
That
it feel
phrase.
good to you? Most likely not. It would be one of these things that you would be sore in all the wrong places. You would know that you had muscles that you never thought you had before. And you'd be like, wow, that was really not good. But the thing there is, it's not a pain response via something threatening your body. It's literally due to novelty at that point. So the novelty effect is something that can really scare people off, because if your body goes into a fight or flight state or a threat state, its number one protective mechanism is to simply tell your brain down into your body, hey, here's pain, here's something wrong. Maybe you need to go and actually look at doing something different or stopping what you're doing whatsoever. But the mistake people end up making is that if they feel anything that is out of the ordinary, knowing very well that training is out of the ordinary for that person in a return to train situation, that they deactivate themselves. They go, oh, strength training hurt my back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, training and being physically active, that causes injuries. And they have this negative connotation to what it is to be physically active. So when people are in a return to train scenario, it's important that we start slow, because the stress placed on your body via training, because that's what training is, it's actually orchestrated, hopefully a very specific stimuli-based stress, but that's what it is, it's stress. So I have clients coming back from pain, coming back from injuries, or coming back from deactivation of sometimes years or decades at a time. And maybe their first 4 weeks looks like, hey, here's your 6-phase dynamic warm-up. Here's how you take care of your body in 10 to 15 minutes a day. And let's start there. And many, even some of my top athletes that have come back from injuries, they start at 15 minutes of just doing a warm-up. And they can't believe how sore they are, how fatigued they are. They're sweating bullets after the end of this stuff. But that is important, because we can have a graded and a scaled approach to layering on stress, instead of just throwing somebody into a group fitness class, getting their ass kicked for 45 minutes, and then having to check in late to work because you can't get out of bed in the morning.
Right.
You know, that's what we need to stop doing. But what we need to start doing is the little things correct. The little things are, 10 minutes of what you can do to better your body per day. Even if you don't go to the gym, that's something huge. Then that can yield, hey, I'm now moving better. I now feel better. Now I have the confidence to go in and actually move without pain or injuries in the gym. And if you can do that enough times, the cumulative compounding effect of all these positive little actions, they really add up. And then you're in a position to do some really intriguing things, getting back into a smart, sustainable strength training plan.
I love that you brought up the accumulative volume, right? And just slow dosing things is going to have huge yield, because I think everybody really expects themselves. They make the decision, and it's great. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to take control of my body. I'm tired of feeling like shit. And then all of a sudden, your body is not ready to do X, what you thought you wanted it to do. And your reaction isn't, okay, let's slow down, let's reorganize, let's figure out what I need to do. It's, okay, well, my body just straight up won't do it. And then it gets validated by, this is a deep rabbit hole we're not going to go down, but like they get told by another clinician that they shouldn't just move that thing, or they shouldn't move at all. They'll never be able to do that again. And so then that person ends up doing nothing. Right? Yeah. They become hopeless. How do you help your people get out of that zone? Because I think there's a lot of people stuck in becoming that injury.
Man, that's a loaded question. There are a lot of hopeless people out there, because mainstream society, I hate to say it, but thought leaders and societal leaders, people like physical therapists, chiropractors, physicians, allied healthcare professionals that have licenses to do this stuff, if you see the wrong person, they're not going to see the power of physicality or what it means to be a strong, resilient, healthy person inside and out. Mm-hmm. And that is very dangerous, because, you and I, we talk at a knowledge level of like, hey, we do this for a living. We've done this for decades at this point in time, tens of thousands of clients. But somebody coming in with a lay knowledge base of what it is, what it means to be physical, and you hear this from somebody like a physician, and you have a God complex with them,
right?
We're going to do what they say. But sometimes this is the fight that personal trainers and coaches have to make, is that we have to show that there is value in doing things like this.
Yes.
But going back to what we were talking about before, you know, the cumulative stress of some of this stuff, I think that we have to literally just look at every client as experiencing all of these different types of training modalities, these different stimuli, these types of methods. And we don't do all one thing. We do a lot of different things. And if we can do that, I think the proof is going to be in the results of people actually feeling better. And you can kick somebody's ass. You know, any moron can make another moron tired, sweaty, and fatigued. That is not what training is about. But I think if you can show yourself, if you could show your client that, hey, what I did today in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes in the gym, it made my life better because I got out of the gym. I had a more successful day at work. I had more constructive relationships with my wife, my daughter, my son, and the people that I love around me. I slept better that night. You know what? I felt like I needed to fuel up instead of going to McDonald's. I made sure that I fueled my body correctly. I got my hydration in. And it's just a starting point for so many people. But if you go down the other path, hey, I kicked my ass so hard today that I can't do anything positive. I had a fight with my wife because I'm so tired. I didn't even see my kids because I was sitting down watching Netflix instead of going to the park with them. And you know what? I am so strung out because it was such a heavy stress that I can't even sleep. Yeah. That is the deep, dark hole that many people end up in. And we need to be avoiding that. And one of the biggest things that we try to do with people is we try to run something called a multi-modalic based model, meaning that we train everything simultaneously. I know we're talking about strength training right now, but it all goes together. Strength is the core that can help all of the other physical disciplines move forward. So it is literally the central point, and all the spokes going off are things like power, things like endurance, movement quality, all of that stuff. But I think if we do give people a little taste of everything, so we're doing a little bit of cardio, we're doing some conditioning, we're doing some prehab and corrective exercises, we're actually strength training, we're doing some things to build muscle. Oh, we're moving fast and explosively in a safe way. You have all these different stimuli that actually don't fatigue you down as hard. And from a neurology perspective of learning things, you learn at a rapid rate because you have all these different challenges coming in. And really, as much as training is physical, it's also mental. And the more that we can learn about our body using more of like a multi-modalic based model instead of like a dogmatic only strength train model, people can really do better for the long term with that because they learn a whole lot more about their body. Because that's what training is. It's self-exploration of the movement system and the way that it can affect other systems.
Yeah, that's so key to look at everything as a whole, right? And I think everybody wants to develop X, so that, you know, we're jaded by what we think we want from the gym, but we forget that it just everything works together, right? And I love that you brought up talking about how stress is stress, and a high stress workout affects your life at home, affects your life at work. Like, it's all the same game. And like, if you're expecting the yields from the workout to prosper in your life, well, then you have to make sure that the workout style fits your life, right? And what other demands you have. If you're a C-level executive in a job with a household of a family and have to run a business, whatever it is, right? Like, you got other things going on. So crushing yourself in the gym has more negative effects on the whole system than just, you know, the burning of the calories.
Yeah. I think once people get through the beginner phase, you know, you get 6, 8, 12 weeks into training and feeling good, it's so easy to go, oh, more is always better. More is always better. So that 60-minute session, I'm going to do a 120-minute session, and that's going to be twice as good, twice the gains, but it doesn't work that way. So when you're breaking down what you should be doing on a weekly basis, you know, really strength training, 30 to 60 minutes, 3 days a week, that should be a non-negotiable. So if you were to do nothing else, you should be doing strength training 3 days a week for about an hour a time. So that's a 3-hour commitment per week. If you have a little bit more time, you should be doing 2 days a week where you do some more cardiovascular based training. So you train your heart to be healthy. This is good because this keeps us alive longer. We have loads and loads. We have 100 years of data showing that, yeah, this is still pretty important. So that should be done 2 days a week. So then all of a sudden you're up to maybe like 4 hours a week of an investment. And then like most people aren't going to go over about 4 hours a week. You know, people have different shit going on in their life. I know I do as well. But I think that people can, on those opposite 2 or 3 days a week, find at least 10 minutes to do something. Every one of my clients, even if they're only training 3 or 4 days a week or even 2 days a week, they all have a foam roller at home. They have a resistance band at home, and they have a mat, a yoga mat. So they can do things on their own to make sure that they always keep moving the process forward. Sometimes I think that people disrespect, oh, I only have 10 minutes. I'm not going to do anything. 10 minutes is far better than 0 because it is more emotionally, mentally, and physically fulfilling in order to get you back feeling the best when you actually are going to challenge yourself via some bigger training sessions. But I think also mentally, people will thrive on feeling good on a daily basis. And that's how I know that somebody's going to be truly successful for life with the physical practice, is that when they know that they're a better person because of what they did that day in the gym, outside the gym, whatever it was that they did for themselves physically. I know for myself, you know, I'm as busy as I've ever been, but it is a non-negotiable right now to have at least 30 minutes per day where I do something for myself to feel my best so I can give to my businesses, give to my family and everyone else around me. And a lot of our clients, you know, it takes them a couple months to get to that point. But they know that if they have 10 minutes, they're going to get the most out of that 10 minutes because they depend on that to be the best version of themselves. And I think a lot of people, they search for that meaning. They search for how to do this because life's tough. It is. But if you can find the things that work for you, the things that make you feel good, the things that empower you, those are the things that you want to do on a daily basis, 7 days a week. I always say when you have goals and when you want to feel good, there are no off days. And that could go for a professional athlete all the way down to somebody just looking to lose those last 20 pounds.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. And I love, you know, because I think getting to, if the people jump on Instagram and find you and see you or look at your work, they're going to see someone who has a, you know, that's strength coach oriented, that's very like get stronger and has a tone. But I love hearing the root message and being so easy to like just turn it on and talk to an audience of, no, what we can do today is exactly what we can do. Manage that. Do that because it makes you feel good. And that's what we have to change. Like, yeah, you and I love going into the gym. We love just lifting and moving, but not everyone does. And I hope that people do someday, but I hope that they develop a relationship with their body to where they're like, oh yeah, my back doesn't hurt. I would love to actually go learn how to deadlift or get into the gym or start walking or whatever that is. And what a huge way to start looking at fitness and looking at the way it helps you do the things that you need to do with your life. Because how big your squad is doesn't matter if you can't pick up your kid.
Yeah, you know, a thing about like my social media is that we kind of just showcase the things that we have the most fun doing. I'm very lucky to have a staff here in Madison, and we train together. We have fun because it's fun to train. We practice what we preach, and it's the best hour of our day. But I think it'd be interesting, especially on this podcast right now, to talk about what happens outside of the gym in terms of just general maintenance.
Yeah.
This is something that I've worked a lot on the last 2 years because, you know, last year I traveled 27 times for seminars. The year before was even more than that. This year is getting up there already. And I'm always looking for things to try to better myself because a lot of what I do for a living, it depends on me being very clear here, clear-minded so I can write content, I can coach people, I can speak and educate, you know, the industry. And one thing that right now for the last year and a half has been an absolute non-negotiable is a 10-minute walk per day. And it seems like nothing. It seems like nothing, but that 10 minutes per day of actually moving my body outdoors, preferably, is a game changer for me. And I do it right before I pick up the kids from school because I get up at 6, I train at 9 to 10. I work all day with our staff here. At about 4:30, my guys leave here, and I'm left with a half hour before I go and pick up my kids. And it's almost like a second part of your day. Walking for me, it makes my back feel good. It makes my shoulders feel good. But more so, it gets me mentally clear to kind of make that shift in my day from going from, hey, businessman coach to, hey, we're going to go to the library and read some books and play video games and have fun. And that walk, it seems like nothing, but I can tell If I miss that day, I go right into being a different person at a lower level. So that walking is really big. On the tail end of that 10-minute walk, I try to walk briskly. I'm not running around sprinting by any means, but it's something that I want to be able to move my body through space, breathe deeply, maybe get the heart rate up a little bit. But as soon as I come back from that walk, I take 3 to 5 minutes, I lay on my back, I put my legs up on the sofa, and I breathe deep, and I do some deep meditational breathing. And again, this gets no respect in the industry today, and it gets no respect because it's not sexy. But being present and mindful with your own breath, especially just parlaying it with something like a walk where you're free of mind, man, that alone is worth that 13 minutes. Even if you don't have the 13 minutes, 10 minutes of day walking from an orthopedic standpoint, from a mind clarity standpoint, and then doubling down with a couple minutes of eyes closed, deep breathing in a very advantageous orthopedic position, like laying on your back with your legs up. Absolute game changer for me. And I make time now to do that, because I know that everything else is going to be better before and after if I can do that. But again, I don't feel like a lot of people are talking about 10 minutes of walking per day,
Totally.
3 minutes of breathing per day. Strength training is super sexy, but all of this other little tiny stuff, it makes everything else that you're going to be doing so much better.
Mm-hmm. No, everything gets brought together in one holistic, and that's the goal of the program, right? As you guys are experiencing, you've heard Dr. John talk about strength, but he brought it all back together, and it brought it to breath. And you guys have heard from PJ Nestler and talk about breath, and you hear it from Dr. Mike T. Nelson and talk about walking and getting sunshine. And I love that without even, like, these guys didn't know that those other 2 people were there, and they've all said the same message on different topics. And I love that being able to look at health, like, it's all about finding ways for you to be successful today, right? He's not saying, you didn't hear 1% come out of his mouth when we're talking about training. You didn't hear about, well, the safety squat bar is superior to the low bar backs. Like, that's not what we're talking about, because that's not what strength training is to us. And this is what we do. It's about finding ways that get you to feel good, so that way you can go do more. And we have to start there instead of trying to be what a fictitious version or the dream version we wish we could be, and manage our life today.
Dude, there's this really interesting research article that got published a couple of weeks ago, and I looked at it from a couple different lenses. Basically, very simple man's terms, it looked at a strength training program of people doing the same exercises for 4 weeks. And then it looked at the opposite group of doing different exercises for 4 weeks, kind of all doing the same patterns. And they looked at the strength gains. The people that did the same exercises every week for 4 weeks, they got stronger. And everyone goes, see, you shouldn't do different exercises in the gym. You shouldn't have fun. It's just all about work. It's all about getting strong results, bro. But then on the opposite end, it was like one of these like tiny like little words at the end of the paper. And it was like, we also looked at motivation. And motivation was actually 4x in the group that actually did things with diversity, as opposed to people that actually trained on a block that did the same exercises. So I've changed a lot over the last decade. I went from, hey guys, results are all that matters. Results. I know how to get results better than anyone, so I'm going to give that to everybody. The last 2 or 3 years, I've found that having fun doing what you're doing for the long term will produce better results. Because who gives a shit about getting strong in 4 weeks?
Right.
Our people care about getting strong in 4 months, 4 years, 4 decades. We have clients at 78 years old getting stronger every month. Mm-hmm. They need to have fun. I need to have fun now in the gym. You need to have fun, because it is more than just getting strong or getting the 6-pack. It's more than even just feeling good. It's feeling, functioning, and internally being your best version. So if you go into the gym hating your session for 45 minutes, 3 days a week, that's not going to be a sustainable practice. But if you can pick something out that makes it more fun, that is going to be one of the biggest predicting factors for getting longevity out of a habitual physical practice. And at this point in time, it's 2020, I am not interested in giving somebody something that they cannot sustain for life. We're past the results. I'm not trying to get results in a 12-week block any longer. We are still doing that for people, but we are trying to change lives. And the best way to do that is by motivating people deeply, by having their gym sessions, no matter what they do, be the best part of their day in order to fuel it for life. The habit formation of physicality is what we're missing today. We look at it as, hey, health is a finish line to be crossed. It's not. It's a journey to be lived. And if we can do more of that, if we can implement strength training and cardiovascular training and conditioning and mobility drills and just having fun in the gym again and having a smile on your face, knowing very well that you worked hard, but you had a great time doing it, hopefully with people that you love.
Yeah.
That is what's going to yield longevity for the long term.
Yeah. So what with this approach, let's say you got someone who just really has a fear avoidance of the gym. What are you prescribing? What are you helping they go do? Or how do you get them to start moving their body if they're at home or they live in Iowa and there's no gym nearby?
Dude, the craziest thing. So I'm managing a lot of clients right now. About 70% work out from home.
Oh.
This is staggering.
I wouldn't have guessed that at all.
Never thought this. But 70% that are working with me are working out from home. We have people that have the sickest gym setups you've ever seen, that have 2 squat racks and full dumbbells and every specialty bar in the world. But then we also have people that have bare bones. You know, they have a couple of kettlebells. They have some bands. Hopefully they have a rack if they get strong enough for a long period of time. But people can do it on their own time. They can do it in their own facility, which is most likely their garage. And they don't have to deal with all of the external, usually negative repercussions of being in a public space. You know, that's something for me. I always struggled in public gyms because training is so important for me that I like to have it be a process that is very in tune with the people that I want to be around. I don't like being on display for people to, you know, talk to or look at or any of that kind of stuff. And I grew up that way because my first gym was a high school and a college strength and conditioning facility. And I used to train on the off days of where the athletes were in there. So it was just me and my father and a strength coach in there. And it was never about anyone else. It wasn't like Dom Mazzetti and the Bro Science crew, like going through the 24-hour fitness. That was never what it was for me. But I think it wasn't that way for a lot of people. You know, the gym culture is one thing. But gym culture should never deter you away from doing what you need to do for your body and your success mentally, physically, emotionally via physicality. So even if you just have one kettlebell, say you have a band, we're going to create the best program that uses body weight, uses cardiovascular fitness, gets you outdoors, walking and jogging and doing anything else. An environment should never be a limiting factor. Equipment should never be a limiting factor. The only limiting factor should be what you limit based on either your time or your goal set.
So, I mean, let's talk about that for a second, because I hear someone, you know, in the background saying like, well, yeah, I don't have a lot of equipment. So then what do I do? Like, how do I choose what to do, right? Is there like, what thought process are we giving people, and what's the best way for them to approach the workout? Because they don't have all the tools that they see on Instagram. And so where are we attacking those pillar movements that you've been talking about?
I mean, it is a great day to be alive when you're trying to answer your own questions. So there's this cool thing, it's called Google. And at this point in time, you could Google anything, including strength and conditioning programs or fitness programs. And there is literally a program for everything at this point. Hey, I only have body weight for 30 minutes. There's going to be 97 programs for you to pick from an expert that actually wrote it and hopefully beta tested it. Hey, I only have kettlebells. Oh, guys like Marcus Martinez. Oh, kettlebells and bands. Boom. He's got your big program for you. Oh, I have barbells, kettlebells, and bands. There's going to be unlimited amount of resources. And when you're ever in doubt, you know, hire a coach. Hire a coach that knows your goals, knows you as a person, knows what moves you deeply, and let them build the roadmap. Then you just have to go in and execute, and it makes it far simpler. That's why a lot of my clients hire me, is I do all the thinking for them. So they don't have time to be sitting on Google. They don't have time to be, you know, reading articles on True Coach, as much as I hate to say that. They don't. They just go in and make sure that 30, 45, 60 minutes, a couple of days a week is well served, and it makes them better. So, you know, investing in yourself, you can never go wrong there. And getting somebody that's going to be on your side and just giving you the clearest path to where you want to be, you can never go wrong doing that.
Yeah, I want to bring this up too, and I want people. This is people who are going to hear this are coming from a single purchase product. That's a 12-week long program, and the idea is for them to facilitate and finding other expressions. Where it's like, okay, this got me going, right? What else is out there? They're going to have an opportunity to do animal flow on demand with Mike, and they're going to have the opportunity. I want them to find P4. I want them to find FHT or FHP. How can they learn more from you, and where can they come invest more if they want you to be their coach?
Yeah, I mean, we have some amazing programs. I always pride myself in giving more for free at a higher quality than people sell. Not to put myself out of business here, but literally somebody could go on my site and they could be busy forever in terms of having cool things to do, having very effective pain-free performance training programs for themselves. And yeah, over on the site, we have a lot of free information. I'd love people to start there. And they will find more value in our free information than hopefully anything else that they could buy on the market share. And then once they actually see enough value from that, we have programs. I do coach a number of people online as well. No longer in person. Travel schedule is a little bit crazy, but drjohnrusin.com is the place for all that stuff.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much insight as to the strength training and where we really need to start focusing on it. And I'm so glad that without even leading you into it, it was less about the mechanical stress and progressive overload. And this is what the eccentric is controlling and the concentric is doing. And it was giving people an understanding and the freedom to know that, hey, let's find value, let's find benefit, let's find something that works for you today. And naturally, you're going to start asking the question to want to do more because you feel good. And that's the whole goal of this program is feel good so you can go do more. I want you to go find your 3RM back squat. I want you to go swing kettlebells, but I want you to at least enjoy doing it. I want you to find a relationship with your body that you give a shit about and that you want to go get better each and every day.
Huge respect because you're one of the only people speaking to some of these things. It's so easy today in our industry to say, hey, we're going to have this elitist mentality. We're going to go this way or the highway. We're going to make sure that everyone is on the most complicated programs that nobody can actually do. And you're actually breaking all this stuff down, habit formation, lifestyle changes that can actually fuel people for life. And that's a huge testament because it takes a lot for somebody to do the simple things well and to layer on habits. It's easy to go in and try to be an elitist. It's hard to give people what they truly need and giving it the respect that it deserves. So kudos, brother. This has been fun.
Man. Yeah, man, I appreciate the time. And guys, feel free to reach out to him and his team. If you guys have any questions or want to start venturing down that path, I'm so honored he was able to share some knowledge with you and can't thank you enough for your time and friendship.
Thanks, Sam. See you, man.
Bye, guys.